My name is not important now. What matters is the ink on this paper. If you find this, stop reading immediately and burn it. This is not a letter of despair or weakness. It is a forced confession, a final, necessary payment. The air in this room, this small, shadowed space I thought was my sanctuary, has grown thick with a cold, dry malice. I started writing this a half hour ago, my hand shaking violently, not from fear of death, but from the horrifying clarity of what I must do to prevent something far worse. The reason is sitting just outside the narrow slice of light cast by my desk lamp. I can't see it, but I can hear it. It sounds like paper, not the soft crumpling of a mistake, but the dry, frantic rustling of 1,000 pages turning simultaneously, always just behind my head, always just out of sight. I know it's listening to the scratch of this pen. I know it's waiting for the final blank space to be filled. I have to finish the letter because only a complete account, they say, satisfies the hunger of the parchment. The moment the presence arrived, the moment the ceaseless rustling began, was when I unearthed the journal. It was hidden beneath the loose floorboard, bound in brittle, cracked leather, filled with the cramped, frantic handwriting of the man who died in this room 40 years ago. His final looping entry detailed the same sound, the same suffocating cold, and ended with a single terrifying instruction. You must give the note a destination. As I wrote the second paragraph, I noticed a change in the text I had already penned. The ink of my first sentences, which was a standard faded blue, began to darken, subtly bleeding into a heavy metallic black, completely independent of my pen. I felt a pressure on my shoulder, not a weight, but a profound, icy stillness that rooted me to the chair. My hand began to move with a strange, autonomous precision, the pen writing an addendum in the new metallic script. I have witnessed the binding. My essence will now anchor the next gate. I tried to stop, but the dry, furious rustling behind me intensified, the sound now containing a low, collective whisper. A chorus of voices agreeing with the statement being written on the page. The whispers are clearer now, coalescing into coherent, archaic phrases. The transfer requires consent. The name must be freely given. I know what this is. The journal, the room, the terrifying entity are all part of a ritual, a continuous, self-sustaining trap where the final words of a suicide note create a metaphysical contract, binding the soul to this space as a new anchor, a sentinel of the silence. I look at the note. My original opening paragraph, my futile warning, is now barely legible, obscured by the dark metallic script of the forced addendum. The paper itself is no longer cool. It radiates a deep inner warmth, and the corner of the page is beginning to curl, visibly browning as if held over a flame. The dry, rustling sound has moved into the room, surrounding the desk, and I can smell the distinct, acrid odor of burning parchment. I can't see the creature, but the paper is its vessel, and the contract is almost complete. My hand trembles, preparing to write the final damning sentence, a single looping signature that will seal my fate. I slam the pen down, the ink sputtering across the desk, refusing to write the final word. The chorus of whispers instantly morphed into a unified shriek-like wind, pressing down on the walls of the room. The entity is here, completely surrounding me, a cyclone of calcified silence and dry, brittle paper. I realized the horrifying truth of the man in the journal. He wasn't writing the note to die. He was writing it to escape the unending servitude, attempting to pass the anchor to the next person who would find his confession. But the entity adapted. The metallic script on the paper began to move, crawling like a corrosive tide toward the empty signature line. I have to finish it on my own terms. Give the contract a destination that saves the next innocent person. I have to name the anchor, but I will not name myself. I snatch the pen, my vision blurring from the intense heat of the paper, and scratch out a final, furious line. A line not for myself, but for the dark, hungry room itself. My last word is written. Quickly, violently, a name scrawled in desperate defiance, Ashes. I toss the pen onto the desk. The moment the ink touches the paper, the heat vanishes, the rustling stops, and the room is flooded with a sudden, beautiful, absolute silence. The contract is fulfilled. I look down at the suicide note, the paper now cool and inert. My original warning, the metallic addendum, and my final defiant word are all there. But as my eyes adjust to the low light, a faint, translucent vapor is rising from the paper, concentrating just above the signature line. It's a colorless shadow, slowly, perpetually forming the shape of a single, looping word, perpetually writing the next entry, waiting for the ink to become cold. The note is finished, and the paper is now waiting for the next reader to accept the final, invisible invitation. Subscribe to Whisper Dark for more.